Zoning Commission for May 17th, 2023 are called to order concurrently at 6:05 p.m. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our Vice Chairperson, Almsen Obley.
Raise the flag, place your right hand on your heart, and say with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give her a
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ortiz is here. Great. Hello, everyone. Thanks.
Hi, good evening. No, I will take roll call right now. Commissioner Richard,
Present.
Commissioner Caraveo,
Present.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Alshanable,
Present?
and Chairperson Smith.
Present. Oral communications. This is the time for the public to address the Planning Commission on items not on the public hearing portion of the agenda. After obtaining permission to proceed by the presiding officer, speakers should first state their full name and address for the record. Not required. The speaker shall limit their address to 3 minutes. Any public comments that are discriminatory, defamatory, or otherwise not protected speech will not be considered, consented to, or otherwise adopted by the Planning Commission in its deliberations and findings. As a courtesy to others, please silence cell phones and other electronic devices. The Planning Commission strives to treat all participants with civility, and we ask that you do the same. Please keep remarks to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing no one else, I will close oral communications. We now recess the Airport Zoning Commission, and we'll move to the Planning Commission consent calendar. Approval of Planning Commission and Airport Zoning Commission minutes for the regular meeting of November 16th, 2022. A little far back, folks, but yeah, we're catching up. Is there Mr. Secretary?
Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Commissioner Ryan, you were absent.
I was absent? Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll motion to approve.
Caraveo. Seconded. Question.
I was absent too.
You were absent as well, Commissioner Ortiz? Okay, so let's see, Commissioner Richard will
absent.
abstain. Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Commissioner Alshanable,
Abstain.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
Okay,
Next is the approval of Planning Commission and Airport Zoning Commission minutes for the regular meeting of December the 21st, 2022.
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
okay.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Richard,
I was absent though. Or abstain.
you will abstain as well, okay. Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Commissioner Alshanable,
Yes.
Chairperson Smith.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay.
Okay, continued public hearings. First one is Design Review Application 2022-DR01. Assistant Planner Nathan Levy will present the staff report.
Good evening, Commissioners. So what we have before you today is a proposed 3-story office warehouse building. The first floor will include both warehousing and office space, and the top 2 floors will be entirely office space. The proposed site is in our heavy industrial section in the southwest portion of the city. It's on 145th Street with the nearest cross street being Inglewood, so it's just west of Inglewood. Currently, it's vacant, undeveloped. The applicants are actually Bruder Toys, who own the lot directly to the west, of the parcel, and their plan is to continue using that building as well as expanding into the proposed building. So as I mentioned, it's currently undeveloped. You'll have noticed in the staff report that we did mention there was a phase 1 and partial phase 2 done. And while it has never been developed, there was evidence that historically there were above ground storage tanks and other storage of materials. That's why they went forward with a partial phase 2 and they did soil sampling. Nothing was found in any of those soil samples that were anywhere near a level that would require further investigation. So the lot itself is just under 100,000 square feet, and the total combined floor area for all 3 floors is just over 60,000. They are supplying 115 parking spots with only 105 being required. And I'll add that this is something that Commissioner Caraveo had just asked this afternoon, was about parking that would be lost along the eastern portion. You'll notice that in the east, it actually shares space with the adjacent lot. There is a signed reciprocal easement agreement between the 2 parties to use the driveway. Involved in that is actually an agreement to relocate the 18 spots that were removed by the installation of the driveway. And so they'll be relocated on site. So as I mentioned, the first floor will be a combination of warehouse and office space. There's also the potential for the office space to also include some retail area. Directly above the first floor office retail area will be the subsequent floors. So we have our first floor, directly above it will be our second, with a portion of that open to the first floor as well, and then our third floor. So we have our roof plan here. It meets all the requirements for height with the industrial zone, which as long as it's under 45 feet, it meets our requirements. For our elevations, we can see that they've got a contemporary design, contemporary industrial. They've got a few different materials that they're using. They're using some concrete, some stucco, some paneling, and a good amount of glass as well. They are implementing a few different colors. It's a little hard to see due to the size of the projection, but they're using a mix of blue, a gray, some white, as well as some black. The metal surrounding the windows will be a black metal. So here's our other angles. To give you a better idea, we do have our renderings that were supplied by the applicant. Finally, on this, we do have a landscape plan. They have incorporated drought-tolerant plants throughout. There are limited islands due to the layout. So the predominant landscaping is along the front. The trash enclosure is not shielded by plants, but that's due to its location in the rear, just adjacent to the driveway. So here we have our variety of drought-tolerant plants that they're proposing. So the staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve and adopt Resolution 2023-09, which is to approve the CEQA determination and the design review 2022-DR01, subject to the conditions included in the resolution. I will add that we are going to be adding an additional condition after the discussion with Commissioner Caraveo, and that's regarding the driveway on the western portion of the lot, which is shared with Brooder Toys itself. We'll insert a condition that the agreement to use the driveway will be memorialized in whatever way is most effective. So we need to consult with city attorney and the director on whether or not a reciprocal easement agreement would be appropriate or sufficient when it's one party making the agreement with itself, or whether it should be recorded as a covenant or some other method. But that will be input as one of the conditions of approval.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, through the chair. One question on, what is the total amount of parking that they have and what is required?
So they have 115 parking spots, with 105 being required.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? Okay. So do I have a motion?
No, it's
I would
the applicant.
need to open the public hearing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Hey, is there anyone in here that would like to speak on this issue? The applicant is here. Feel free to step up to the microphone.
The applicant is not here. They're currently watching via Zoom.
Are we able to talk to them through Zoom or?
Unfortunately,
not.
no.
Oh,
No, that, our meeting's not set up for that right now.
I guess, because I had a question for the applicant, but they're not here. Do we know how many parking spaces are being lost with the driveway being shared?
18.
Okay.
So 18 are being lost. They're going to be balanced elsewhere on the adjacent site, as well as with this reciprocal agreement, then that parking is also available to them.
And so was that 18 for just the property to the east?
Yes.
Okay, and then so what about the west
So
side?
they're not actually losing any parking on the west side. What'll happen is there's going to be a fence placed directly next to the current existing parking, and then a driveway put next to that. That driveway will actually straddle the property line. So no parking will be lost in the west side.
Okay, can we go to the site plan?
Sorry for flipping through so quickly. So if we zoom in just a little bit more. Maybe not, okay. If we zoom in a little bit more, we can see that there's still a driveway on the adjacent lot that is flanked on by parking on each side. So on the very eastern portion of the adjacent lot, you'll see that, the property line does go halfway through that driveway, and that's what the proposed addition to the conditions will be regarding, in memorializing the agreement to have both lots be able to use.
And does it show the width of that driveway on that side?
Unfortunately, not clear enough. Let's see. Yeah, it's not letting me zoom in sufficiently. Apologies on that. See if I have this written down, though. It's 17 feet, the driveway.
I mean the alleyway. So where the property line is, and the parking between the neighboring property and the subject property.
So the driveway that's straddling the property line in
Yeah,
the west, yeah, that's 17 feet.
It looks pretty small. It looks like there's a number on there for the parking space. It looks like is that 9 feet? Or I can't see that.
And see where is-
Which parking space are we looking at?
So there's a dimension. Do these mouses work?
Not if we don't have the Do, you-
The typical width of a
Yeah.
parking space is
It's usually like-
18
Yeah,
feet.
like,
the length is usually 18 feet
Yeah.
by 9 feet.
Yeah.
The width is 9 feet.
What's your concern? Curious.
it's kind of hard to, so where the parking is, along that west side on the
Mhm.
subject property,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look like there's enough, backup space between that and then the neighboring, property. Or that-
You mean
that
for the
aisle- that
90
aisle looks pretty small.
Through the, to angle into a 90-degree turn, you mean?
Yeah.
From 17 to that? They do have, excess parking. The fix can be that they can angle that parking so there's enough. So as they're driving in, they can just go in and back out.
Mhm.
So if that's something that we can take a look further.
But the parking that's shown, the striping that's shown it right in the middle, or I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that parking right to the left of that area, just to the left or to the west, yeah, that's dashed in. That means that it's being removed, right? It's not there. That aisle, that row of parking right in the middle. The parking that's dashed in. That's being removed, right? That's not,
Correct.
yeah.
Oh, so that's being removed?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so, and
I
they,
can see
they have
that.
both dimensions. They have dimension for the width of the parking, the aisle, and then the width of the parking to the very left or to the most west. It looks like they have plenty of space, once those parking stalls that are dashed get removed.
Apologies
so
for not
then-
quite.
So then it sounds like they're removing more parking spaces on that western property.
We will have to take a look at it a little closer, because they do have enough parking, and they have excess parking. We can double-check to make sure that the western property is not, if they are losing parking, it's just excess parking,
Mhm.
and that it's accounted for on the new lot.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, so,
So-
so maybe, an additional condition, so that all three sites maintain at least the minimum, required parking,
Okay.
maybe some type of parking agreement.
Okay, we can place that as a condition of approval.
And that's all my questions.
Okay.
I have one additional comment, and it's related to the amount of trees. So it looks like right now they have, you said 10 additional parking spaces beyond the minimum, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, because they are developing this previously vacant lot, I think it would be good if they could add additional trees, especially at the areas where there's quite a bit of parking and hardscape. So I think towards this, on the side, it would be on the east side and on the back. So if you can zoom out from that view that you have now. Yeah, there you go. So if they could eliminate, a couple of those parking stalls, since it's an industrial building, right? There's not a great need for extra parking. Typically, they have, more than enough with the minimum. If they can add additional trees to shade the hardscaping.
Okay, so do you have a suggestion on numbers that you would
I
like
w-
to see them at or
I would
size?
say, if so, there's 10 extra 10 extra stalls, so
Mhm.
let's say one tree would take up one of the stalls, eliminating them, right? They could probably create just a continuous island, so taking away 2 stalls. So I'd say we're looking maybe at least 4 trees, 4 additional trees.
Okay. And then if that conflicts with any additional parking requirements based on losing the ones along
Then
the
that's,
west, what would you,
I would just leave it as is.
okay, okay.
Okay, so through the chair, I just want to make sure we understand the conditions that all 3 sites shall maintain required parking, and that'll be a condition of approval either with the covenant or some sort of document that will memorialize that. They will add additional trees where available, where it's able to place with the removal of a couple of stalls if there is enough parking.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted, okay.
And through the chair, I just have one comment, which is with the renderings, I think it's beautifully designed. I think this is something that's going to elevate the area in general, and I appreciate the effort that was put into this.
Yes, and the applicants are hoping that they can use this as, you know, as a showpiece for their company as well. You see the wide open mezzanine area, and so that'll all be incorporated into the office spaces as well as the retail portion.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree as well. It's a great design, and yeah, it goes well with the type of toys they actually. It seems like it was well
Thought out.
designed to the product they produce. Yeah, it's really nice.
Kudos to the architect.
I think through the chair. Oh yeah, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
This might be a question more for the applicant. I know we mentioned there was a potential for retail space.
Mhm.
What are we or is the applicant right now planning to use to have any kind
Yeah.
of retail space? We're really thinking about this. I know we mentioned this in the office, but
On the first floor, I don't know what I just did, apologies. Trying to zoom in, not doing it very successfully, but on the first floor, if we look here, this is all currently laid out as retail space. The diagonals are displays for sale purposes. So they currently have that prepared for it. I believe that is the only portion, though, and there might be some more up on the 3rd floor as well. Oh, so yes, the 3rd floor is not so much retail as it is a showroom, and it will include a conference room area as well. So the 1st floor will be is the proposed retail space at
Okay.
the moment.
thank you.
And through the chair, their existing building does have a small little retail area as well.
Okay.
So sounds like they're going to move it to.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that to this location. Okay, makes sense.
So with those conditions, I would move to approve with additional conditions.
I'll
Okay.
second. Sorry.
Okay. Will the secretary
Tees?
please call for the vote?
Okay, Commissioner Richard,
Yes.
Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson El Shanable,
Yes.
and Chairperson Smith.
Yes.
So this passes with the 2 additional conditions of approval that we will be placing on the resolution, that all 3 sites maintain the required parking, and any parking that is removed be replaced with anywhere from 2 to 4 trees.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item is a motion to adopt, oh, I'm sorry, let me back up.
Should have used permit. Number 2. Commissioner Smith, number 2.
Right here?
No.
Okay. Next item is be the
Oh, okay.
conditional use permit, CU 2022-0008. Senior Planner Maria Maharick will present the staff report.
Good evening, Commissioner. I will be presenting conditional use permit CU 2022-0008, which is a request to approve an expansion of the station which is located at 14501 Hindley Avenue. As you can see from this aerial, the zoning and vicinity map, this is in the C1. I apologize, we did change that to the CR, Regional Commercial Zone. And the fuel station is right on that corner. As you go down Hindley, you'll see a larger shopping center where Cost Plus, the Costco, is located. There's a Porsche dealership and a Subaru dealership right within the vicinity. The Green Line station is just behind them there as well. So these are the existing conditions of the fuel station at this moment. These are the different types of views from the southwest, from the northwest, and from the southeast. And Costco has made a concerted effort to make sure that they don't clog up Hindley Avenue, because I know we've all been in that area. And so they have made a concerted effort to continue letting the traffic flow through there. And this is part of the reason why they do want to expand, so that they can accommodate a few more vehicles and the queuing of these vehicles. So this is the aerial view of just the fuel station. And as you can see, right to the, I guess it's the south, in this view, there's a number of parking spaces. And I don't know if, no, you can't see. As you enter into the actual fuel station, there are some parking spaces on that side that will be removed. And the site plan, you can see it clearly there, that they have removed a few of those. Let me go back. I don't have a mouse, so.
Whatever you were doing, it was
Did it work?
pointing, yeah. Yeah, it's pointing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good, it's showing it. So this area here is what I'm talking about. Okay? So this is all going to be removed. And this is the site. And so what will be occurring with this area is that they have right now the existing parking, and that includes all of the parking spaces in the Costco lot. There's 753 stalls. They're going to be rearranging some of the stalls. Some will be widened, some will be reduced a little bit, but still within the parameters of the code that allows them to do so. And at the end, they will have 747 stalls. So they're only losing 6 stalls, but they have an abundance of stalls. So there's plenty where they only really need 595 stalls if we calculate the precise number of stalls for the warehouse, for the fuel station, and for the tire center. So they do have an abundance of parking, and this will assist them in the queuing of this facility. They're going to be able to queue a few more cars, and so their vehicle trips will, the net peak hours will increase by 46 vehicles during the weekday and 51 vehicles during the Saturday and midday peak hours. So they're increasing their capacity at 36 vehicles. So with the 28 fueling positions, the additional 28 fueling positions altogether. And so it can handle the additional small traffic that's going to come through. So they truly are making a concerted effort to alleviate the issues that have been occurring. And they're doing it now, even before this gets going. In terms of the design, they're going to continue with the same design, the same brand colors. And the canopy will be expanded, and this is what it will look. It'll match the same architectural style as exists now. They are replacing some of the landscaping, and this is an example of some of the landscaping that they will be providing. They are providing it in all of the islands that they're able to do so. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt PC Resolution 2023-10, approving the CEQA determination and conditional use permit CU 2022-0008, which will be subject to the conditions included in the resolution that we provided to the Planning Commission. And if you have any questions of staff or the applicants, they are available to answer your questions.
Questions?
Question through the chair. So the area that, the parking that they're removing, that's the whole island that runs north to south on the picture, right?
Yes.
So that includes all the
Here.
trees.
Or
that-
east to west.
East to west.
Yes, let me go back a little bit more.
Oh, the picture was,
Right, it's turned.
yeah, I understand.
So,
That's why
yeah,
I'm
so
saying
it's-
the, on the screen,
here we
north,
go. Mhm.
north-south on the screen.
Yes, on the screen.
Yeah, so that includes all those trees that you can
Right.
see. Okay.
It does include all of that.
So, being that the city has or severely lacks trees throughout, that's one of my concerns. Having, for sure, at the very least, not removing more trees than we currently have. So, is there a net loss of landscaping area? Because I know they're extending, they're removing that entire area, but they're extending the bottom.
Right.
So do we have a net loss of
I
either
don't,
landscaping or trees?
I don't have a calculation, but perhaps the applicant can answer that.
Well-
But they are, let me
It-
go in there.
I mean, just looking at
Yes.
this, unless they're making up for it in other areas, it looks like
Here we go.
there's a net loss.
They are adding it on the two islands that the landscape islands that they're extending. They are adding a lot of the landscaping. Obviously, they're going to lose some, but they are adding more since they're extending on both sides, those two islands.
So, yeah,
Over here and over here, they're adding some.
yeah. I definitely have a problem with losing trees. I mean, it's every summer this area gets hotter and hotter, and just losing more trees, should not be something that we should be looking at, especially with all the hardscape being asphalt. So is there a way that, well, I guess we could say
There are,
that,
yes, we can ask the applicant, but there are other landscape areas, and I'm looking at a little area here. I don't believe there are trees there. There might be an area where they can replace some of them across the parking lot.
okay, we'll ask the applicant.
Okay.
I
And
know-
if that is the case, we can make it as a condition of approval, subject to the planning director. If the commission is comfortable with that, with the planning commission and staff taking a look, that some of the other islands compensate for the loss of the trees, the net loss of the trees.
Okay.
So, but we will ask the applicant if they're in agreement.
No more questions from me.
Thank you.
I guess one of my questions might be a solution to your question that you had. I noticed if you go to the site plan,
This one?
yeah, well, I guess if you go back to that aerial, so you know how you said that they have the trees that they're removing towards the south of the station. There's just, it kind of creates like a barrier for cars not to go into that area. And then if you go back to the site plan, right now it doesn't have any type of barrier. They just have that parking space. Maybe, and I doubt people would even park in that area.
Here?
At least that first row closest to the pumps. So maybe placing additional trees in that first row, closest to the pumps,
Oh,
This way?
similar to how it is in the aerial.
do you mean because of the queuing? It would be
Yeah.
hard to,
mhm.
for people to
Yeah.
park there
So
and
see
back
how
out.
in this they have the trees and then they have parking on the other side. Actually, do we have a
Yeah,
yeah? So placing trees in that area.
yeah.
I know, I
And
can't see.
I guess that would be a good question for the applicant also, if they perceive that being a problem.
Oh.
It seems like it would, because who would want to park when you're going to be not locked in by
Yeah,
You're not going to be able to
queuing
back
of-
up.
yeah,
other cars? Yeah.
It's almost just like moving that tree bank
Mm.
forward.
yeah.
We'll have you.
And it's true, it
Okay.
will create like a
So,
buffer in between.
Yeah.
The applicants do know if they do have the number. If
Okay.
they're, so if we can have the applicants speak as they know more precisely how many trees are removing or being replaced.
Okay. So,
Okay?
yes, to open it to
Right.
To the public.
open the public
There's-
hearing? Or do you have additional questions to staff before?
No, yeah, we can open it because I have additional questions for the applicant.
You can open the public hearing, sir.
Good.
Yes. Hey, Commissioner Smith, if you can open the public hearing if
Yes.
the commission doesn't have any more questions.
Yep. Okay. Do you have any more questions, or is the applicant here and would like to say something? Please.
Hello, my name is Charles Mosley. I'm with Barghausen Engineers. I'm the representative for Costco on this project. I also have the Costco representative, Perry Holliday, and Fernando Sotelo with Kittleson Associates available for any questions that you might have. We have worked closely with the city on this project, and we're in full agreement with the staff report and the ordinance to approve the project. But your questions, please.
Okay, so two questions on the table. The first one being, is there a net loss of landscaping or trees?
There is actually a net increase of landscaping.
Okay.
If you look at the staff report, I believe it does say that there's about 214 square feet that are being added. We've laid out all the new trees in the new planter areas that we've extended out. And in other parts, if, am I able to scroll through this? Or if we can go to the landscape plan, I can probably. Perfect. So these are the extensions.
Yeah, you can touch the
Nope.
We go back.
Sorry.
We need,
Here we go.
Okay, no. Can you see the cursor?
Your trackpad on your laptop, because you were moving it earlier. Oh.
oh,
Sorry. Well, so
okay.
what we've done is we've obviously extended the landscape along the two edges of the site. And that's where we're putting in the replacement trees. Also, there is a landscape planter across the drive aisle to the west. You can see it where we've also added some trees. There may be some opportunity to add 1 or 2 more trees, just because we want to make sure that the spacing is proper for them to survive. But we're, right now, the total that is shown on the plan are 8 replacement trees.
And how many were removed?
I believe there are about 5 or 6.
All right, because I was looking for the net area of landscaping, existing versus new, and I couldn't find that information on the plan submitted. That's my concern. If you're telling me that you are not having a net loss of landscape area or trees, then that would be enough for me. Okay, yeah, this addresses the code requirements, but not necessarily existing versus new. Okay. But if we can put that as part of the condition, since there is nothing written as part of the documentation, that there shall be no net loss of landscaping area or trees, then that would suffice for me. That kind of negates.
Okay. I know right now the configuration for the queuing of the cars, it has like barricades that go through the parking lot. Will it be like a similar configuration or will
No,
it be different?
the layout right now would close off that first drive into the fuel facility would be closed off with chain and bollard to allow access for the fuel truck to come in and do its fuel drop, but keep members from coming in and accessing the gas station off of Hendry. They would have to proceed further down Hendry and circulate through the site to enter in from the west side of the fuel facility.
I think that's how it is now, right? Where they,
Well, currently, right now, there's a temporary queue management plan that's in place that's utilizing barricades to circulate the traffic. But I should probably let Fernando answer those type of questions on the traffic and queuing.
okay. And if we can go back to the site plan so we can see what they're explaining. Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Fernando Sotelo. I'm with Kirosan Associates, and I'm a licensed traffic engineer in California. Yes, you're correct. I have a figure actually showing the current display of the queue, and yes, they have barricades where cars are currently entering at the southernmost driveway from Hendry, and they loop around the parking lot right now as they enter the gas queue area. So that's the configuration that we have now, so it reduces the number of cars that are queuing on Hindley, right? So we're bringing those cars into the site as a temporary measure. So what Costco is proposing is to expand the capacity of the gas station, and so we're going to add 6 more fueling positions from 22 to 28, which is going to provide increased capacity to serve Costco members. And based on the data that we gathered, and based on also research and data collection that we did at similar gas stations, we calculated that with the expanded gas area, the queue area, that's going to be able to accommodate most of the queues. But just in case, if that would not be sufficient, we have a queue management plan in place for the new layout. And I have a figure here, but it's not up in the screen. But we will continue to have cars entering from the current site, but we no longer need to zigzag the cars that we have now, because we have 2 things. One, we have expanded capacity, so we're going to be able to process more cars at any period of time, which is going to speed up things. And also we have a larger queue area that can accommodate the cars in that entrance, so we don't have to do that whole zigzag. But what we can do in case the queues are longer than expected is to close the first driveway on Hindley. As you can see here in the site, there's a current gate which already exists, but there's 2 ways to enter the site. So if we close the first one, cars would continue to access the gas station from the southernmost, and you still can queue in cars within the Costco site and not queue them on Hindley.
And so with that, in case there's, more cars, would that queuing, would it go through the parking spaces, or would it kind of, I guess, go around that island?
I don't know if you can see my cursor. No?
No.
Okay, apologies. But it would, I don't know if you can see. Yes, I can, because it's hard to explain. Yeah, okay.
There's a highlight.
We need more friendlier
Here.
technology.
I know.
They should be able to.
Here we go.
It out.
Especially if it relates to plans, and they should be able
Laser
to.
pointer.
Even like a.
Here we go. This should work.
Let's see.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. This
Okay,
is
great.
good.
I have it here as well, but I don't have the. So, yeah, with the queue management plan again, we even the queues that would not be exceeded 90% of the time, we would be able to contain most of them here. But based on calculations, in unusual conditions, we might have just about 4-6 cars that would be spilling here. So that's what we estimate based on the based on our forecasts and some of the observations and counts that we took on site. But again, in case that doesn't, that is not enough, then our plan is to close this driveway. We can cone it off and have all the vehicles coming from here, which is what they do today. But they would they would not have to zigzag. We have enough queue storage where we can just bring them in here, and they would come in this way. So either that way or this way. So basically 2 ways to access the queue area, and that would not affect the parking spaces that are here, which we do today. So it's less impactful for parking.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I was just trying to make sure that it wasn't going through the parking areas, and then similar to what's out there today, and also what I've seen at other Costco's, they usually have like a barrier along that queue side. So if you Yeah, right there.
Hmm.
So if we maybe place planning along just that one row of parking to prevent cars from, because I mean nobody's really going to be able to park there because if you're blocking off that gate
Right.
and then having cars queued through that other entry, it doesn't seem like that'll be a sufficient area to park. So maybe just placing plants
Yeah.
along that area, and then keeping the parking on that.
Yeah, so a lot of times what
Different side.
Costco does is that they restrict this parking for employees because employee parking has a very low turnover, and they normally come in before before the busy piers, and they leave after, or even the ones that can leave around busy piers, they can manage to have staff help them leave, and they're very familiar with the site also, so they pretty much know how to get in and out. But yeah, I agree that for for members, it's not the most convenient parking spaces.
I guess maybe for the other commissioners, would you guys like to see additional landscaping there, or?
I mean, to me, as long as the net landscaping is an increase, I think that should suffice. And it makes a lot of sense if the stalls over in that area were used for staff. That makes sense to me.
Well, I guess my question would be, is it absolutely necessary to have the staff park there? I know we already mentioned like you only need about 520 some odd parking spaces. We have about 700 of them already. Is there not another space where the employees could park that we could use this to increase the
590.
landscape?
I think 595, right? The parking spots?
Yeah, but I think even now, like, you know, it was mentioned that there's abundance of parking, but
Right.
there's never abundance of parking.
Yes, it
Well, I
always
mean,
takes me 15
yeah,
minutes to find one.
I mean, I get that fair, and I guess the question is, in the hopes of increasing the amount of landscaping, subtracting these 6 parking spaces we're looking here, do we think it's it's a better benefit to the community to have more landscaping, or would we rather leave that as employee parking?
So,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
my perspective is because there's so much congestion in this area and pretty much all the time, as long as there isn't a reduction in landscaping and trees, I think there's more of a benefit to maximizing the parking,
All right,
in my opinion,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
works for me.
I think I'm leaning towards that more.
And then because we also got to look at right now nobody's parking there because they have the queuing of the
Yeah.
cars and the rails.
yeah.
Maybe I guess it's going to be difficult for the employees to get access to that area. And I mean has some type of management system to navigate through that. I mean it seems like to me it would make more sense to just get rid of those parking spaces. It's not really functional.
I see where you're coming from with that, but I think the applicant's explanation or resolution of that was the fact that they're coming in early and late. So they're saying that you wouldn't be as impacted by that traffic because if you're coming in at the opening time of Costco, there's not as much traffic there, and it's not at the end, so it's not really impacting the employees who are parking there, which I completely get and understand. But again, honestly for me, either way makes sense. If it's functional for them to have the employees go there, cool. But also for us to have more trees, I think it's just a boon either way. So
I mean, to me, I think that it's never a good idea to minimize parking at Costco. We know how it is. I'm okay with it being for employees. I mean, it's not going to be labeled employees. No Costco member is going to park there. So if it's for employees and it's working for them, and again, as long as the net landscaping is increasing, I think I'm okay with that.
Okay, any more questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion and is there a second?
I'll make the motion to approve with the condition that it state on the record that there shall be no net loss of landscaping or trees.
I'll second.
Okay, and motion has been made and seconded. Will the secretary please call for the vote?
Commissioner Richard,
Yes.
Commissioner Caraveo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Alshanable,
Yes.
Chairperson Smith.
Yes. Okay,
Motion approved.
thank you.
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
We have no new public hearings, so I will now call back to order the Airport Zoning Commission. Are there any administrative items? No, I get
None.
none, right? Thank you. Items to be placed on future agendas. Meeting of June 7th, 2023. There is 2022 DRO 4-3301-3317, West Rosecrans Fabulous Burgers. And the other is DR-2023-008, 3924 West Inglewood Boulevard, El Segundo Boulevard, Burger King. And the third one is color approval for 12435 Prairie Avenue Hybrid Garage. Okay, do we have any commissioners' reports? Nope. Okay. Do you have a director report?
I have one
You have one?
One comment, yeah. It's related to trash and I guess this is more for code enforcement. Right in front of Didi's retail on Hawthorne Boulevard, there's always just an excessive amount of trash. And it's part of the problem with that, and it's kind of a good lesson for planning, is that because that retail space doesn't have any frontage, any storefront or entrances on Hawthorne Boulevard, it's all at the back, then nobody really takes care of that space in front, on Hawthorne Boulevard. So there's an excessive amount of trash that accumulates in that area. And I believe it's really part of the
Sidewalk,
part of
public
the
right of way?
property, right?
It's,
Even though it's concrete, it's paved, it's still part of their,
we'd have to see if it's public right of way,
okay, yeah,
or if there's an area that is the store,
yeah.
frontage, but it's all along Hawthorne Boulevard,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it seems like it's part of the store because I think there's a cantilever that comes over.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
and I understand it's because there's really, the only way to get to that side is to go all the way around, but nevertheless, there's trash all the time.
Okay, we'll take a look
Yeah,
at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maria, would you look into that?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely.
No more commissioner reports?
I was thinking for future meetings. I know when I do my reports, I save the PDF of the plans on the computer, so maybe that would be kind of easier to zoom in, because especially since we don't have plans here, in front of us, that might be helpful to just have it saved on a computer, that way we can go back to it and be able to zoom in on the plans.
We shall do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great idea. Okay, director's report?
No, nothing to report, commissioners.
Okay. That's the case, then we will adjourn the meeting at 7:05 p.m. to the next regular meeting of June the 7th, 2023. Thank you very much for attending.
The gavel, sir. The gavel.